A very good morning to all the students of class 12th political science. And students, as you know, we were doing the fourth chapter of your new revised syllabus, and the name of the chapter is South Asia and the Contemporary World. And already we have finished four parts of this particular chapter, and today we will be starting the fifth part. And in this lecture we are going to discuss on the topic, that is India and Nepal, in relation to the differences and the areas of cooperation, or we can say the conflicts and the cooperation. So we'll see those areas between these two countries, although we know India and Nepal shares a very special relationship. As the reason, you must be knowing that we do not require visa or the passports to travel and work in each other's country. So there is a smooth migration from the India to Nepal and from Nepal to India in relation to work. Okay. But still, before I take this topic in detail, let's take a quick glimpse of the topics which we have covered till now in till part number 4. So in the beginning of the chapter we had discussed various experiences of democracy in these countries of South Asia region. Geographically, I have shown you the map of South Asian countries and which are the members of South Asia. Okay, and then in the further videos we had discussed regarding the conflicts among these countries, because in the previously we saw the domestic politics, which was regarding the establishment of the democracies, where we saw there were military rule, there were monarchies, then how there were pro-democratic demonstration around the country to establish democracy. So we had seen this in the major 5 countries of South Asia, excluding India, because as I told you, in about India we will be studying in detail in the next part of political science, that is politics in India since independence. Okay, so we'll be studying in that. But then we had also seen conflicts between India and Pakistan, and then we have seen the areas of cooperation and conflicts between Bangladesh also. Okay, Bangladesh and India, and today the topic is India and Nepal. So we'll see that, and these are the notes I have written down for you and which we'll discuss at the last. These are the short important notes which you need to keep in mind while answering your questions also. But let me take a reading from your NCERT book, then we'll read the notes at the last. So Nepal and India enjoy a very special relationship that has a very few parallels in the world. Around the world you travel, you will not find the relationship like India and Nepal have currently. A treaty between these two countries allows the citizens. Here a treaty has been signed between India and Nepal, where the citizens of both the countries can travel to and work in the other countries without visas and passport. So we do not require visas and passport if we have to travel to Nepal, or the Nepalis had to travel to India. So this is one of the important and the most differentiated element of a relationship, or a special relationship. We do not have a parallel in the world, as I said. But despite this special relationship, the government of the two countries have had trade related disputes. Apart that, then we have a special relationship which has no parallel in the world, I said. But still we have some conflicts with the other government of Nepal also, where there is a trade related dispute in the past. The Indian government has often expressed displeasure at the warm relationship between Nepal and China. So we have seen very good growing relations between Nepal and China, and India, from the point of view of the security of our country, does not like this good relation between Nepal and China. That is why India has expressed displeasure over the warm relationship of these two countries. Okay, and at the Nepal's government's inaction against anti-Indian elements. There are so many elements which are dangerous for the security of India, as Nepal is very close to Indian territory. So there are some elements which are Indian against the Indian society, and Nepal is not trying to stop those actions. So Indian security agencies see the moist, like there are moist movements going on. This is a group which is creating problems for India, as there has been a rise of the Naxalite movement or the Naxalite groups in Indian states of Bihar and in the north, and Andhra Pradesh in the south. So this is creating problem for Indian security and peace. So as we want there should be totally a peace and decorum in our country, but when in our neighboring country we find there are some activities which are not good for the growth and the peace of our society or for India, then we find areas of dissatisfaction with Nepal. many leaders and citizens in Nepal. There are many leaders of Nepal and common citizens also. They think that Indian government interferes in internal matters. So as you know, we have also read that most of the South Asian states think that India is always trying to become a boss of this region, but it is not so true. This is just because India is having conflicts with most of the region, because India is centrally located geographically if we see in the South Asia, and these countries are covering India from all the sides. So here also Nepal also thinks that Indian government interferes in the internal matters of Nepal, like has designs on its, like talking of the river water, hydroelectricity plans and programs. They think that India interferes and prevents Nepal, a landlocked country, and also preventing Nepal, a landlocked country, from getting easier access to the sea through Indian territory. They also think that India do not allow Nepal to get easier access to the sea through the territory of India. So these are the areas of, I would say, the differences or the conflicts between India and Nepal, although there is not a big issue between these two nations. Nevertheless, Indo-Nepal relations are fairly stable, but as a whole we say we have a very stable and good relations and peaceful relations with Nepal despite differences. Trade, apart than differences which we have seen here, we have very good relations in terms of trade, scientific cooperation, common natural resources, electricity generation, and interlocking water management grids. These are the areas where we are cooperating with each other, and we are getting the benefit or the profits mutually for both the countries here. There is a hope. So there is a hope that consolidation of the democracy in Nepal will lead to improvement in the ties between these two countries, and it is expected and hoped that, as we know, Nepal became a democratic country in 2008, and by 2015 they had drafted their and completed their constitution. So as soon as the democracy becomes richer in Nepal, we will be having very good relations and stronger relations with Nepal in future. Now let's talk about some of the areas of conflicts and areas of cooperation also between two important countries of South Asia, that is India and Sri Lanka. And these two are the countries which have managed to establish democracy just after independence, although there was various challenges and various circumstances which could have easily overthrown the democracy, and there would have been a rule of a military or a monarchy. But still these two countries till date have survived to maintain democracy. Okay, so the difficulties in the relationship between these two countries or the government of these two countries are mostly over the ethnic conflicts. As we know, in Sri Lanka we have two ethnic groups, that is Sinhalas and the Tamils, which had migrated to Sri Lanka after independence even. So this area of Sri Lanka has a turmoil and disturbance because of this ethnic conflicts, and Indian leaders and citizens find it impossible to remain neutral. So the people of India and also the leaders of India, they are unable to be neutral when there are conflicts and there is discrimination, or the Tamils in Sri Lanka are being politically, socially and economically exploited or suppressed. So the people in India, especially South India, and the politicians, they pressurize the Indian government to negotiate with the Sri Lankan government to find a solution to the problem of this conflict or the ethnic conflict. So this is the area where there is a difficulty in the relationship between Indian government and the Sri Lankan government. And after the military, as we know, there was the military, the peacekeeping forces were sent from India to find a solution to this ethnic conflicts continuously which were taking place in Sri Lanka. So a military invention, we had sent our military in 1987, and this was also not liked by the Sri Lankan government. The Indian government now, so the government now prefers a policy of disengagement while with Sri Lanka's internal troubles. It means now Indian government do not want to interfere in the internal problems of Sri Lanka. India signed a free trade agreement with Sri Lanka. We have signed a free trade areas with strengthened. So this has led to the strengthening of the relationship between these two countries. Although we had conflicts, but there are areas of conflicts, cooperation also. So these are the cooperation where we signed a free trade agreement, I would say. Then India's help in post tsunami. During the tsunami, India has helped Sri Lanka to reconstruction of their infrastructure. Sri Lanka has brought the two countries closer. So this help from India during the period of tsunami, where a lot of financial support was provided by India to Sri Lanka. So this has improved the relations between these two countries further. Also, a short paragraph has been given about Maldives, so we also have to know something about the relationship with Maldives. So, India's ties or the relationship with Maldives remains warm and cordial. So, we have a very warm and cordial and comfortable and peaceful relationship with this Maldives. In November 1988, where India had helped Maldives to protect them from the Tamil missionaries from Sri Lanka. So from Sri Lanka, the Tamil missionaries had attacked on Maldives, and the Maldives at that time had taken the help from Indian Air Force and Navy. Reacted quickly. So the Indian Air Force and Navy reacted quickly to protect Maldives on their request to help stop the invasion. So the invasion of these Tamil mercenaries were stopped by Indian Air Force and Navy. So India has also contributed. India is also trying to contribute to this island country and basically to its economic growth, economic development, tourism and fisheries. Tourism is one of the important means of economy of this place. So India is always trying to promote them. So with this we have almost talked about all the important member states of South Asia, what type of relations India has with these countries. So now taking like a conclusion here, you may have noticed that India has various problems with its small neighbors. India is having a very small neighbors, but we have problem with almost everyone. Although we have areas of cooperation also, but there are differences also. Given its size and power, they are bound to be suspicious of India. If we talk about the size and power and the growing stage of India as the most important developing country, so all the other smaller nations are suspicious of India's intention. They always think that India's intention is to control this region, to have a economic or the social and cultural dominance over this area. So this is a suspicious view of the other states, if you would. And the Indian government on the other hand often feels exploited by its neighbor. If you talk about India feels that these small countries are trying to exploit India. It does not like the political instability. So if you sign, we have seen the experience of democracy we found in case of Pakistan, in case of Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. Okay, and we have seen there is so much of instability in terms of their political system. Fearing, so India is fearing that this area can act as a vacuum where the other superpowers or the outside power can see a area where they can enter this and influence this area. So India does not want that these neighboring countries or that these member countries should show instability in the political system. There should be unity and integrity in this region as a one, so that no outside power can come and gain influence here. That is why it's mentioned here, fearing it can help outside power to gain influence in the region. So it's mentioned here also, the smaller countries of South Asia, they feel that India wants to be a regionally dominant power. All of them have these views for India. Not all conflicts in South Asia and are between India and its neighbors. If we were talking about areas of conflicts and differences or the cooperation, we saw only about India and the other countries. But apart than India, there are other conflicts also. There is areas of differences between Nepal and Bhutan, as well as Bangladesh and Myanmar. They all have disagreements in the past over the migration of ethnic Nepalis into Bhutan and the Rohingyas into the Myanmar. So these countries also have some or the other conflicts going on in these regions. Bangladesh and Nepal have some differences over the future of Himalayas. If we talk about Bangladesh and Nepal, so they have some conflicts relating to the Himalayan rivers water or the water sharing. The major conflict difference though are between, if we talk about the major bigger conflicts, those are with India and the other countries which we have seen in these videos. Partly because of the geographical location, because as I told you, India is centrally located in South Asia and these smaller countries are in touch with its boundaries. So of course there are somewhere they have a boundary issues, somewhere they have a river water sharing issues, trade issues, different issues with India, because India is centrally located and therefore the only country that borders the others. India is the only country which is bordering all the other countries or sharing the common boundaries. So the last topic of this chapter is peace and cooperation. How we can bring peace and cooperation in these South Asian nations, because we have seen there are so areas of conflicts. Although there is cooperation also, but still we need to work too much to bring prosperity to this region so that it can also be a new emerging center of power. But this talking of this topic, peace and cooperation, basically we have to talk here about association, that is South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, in most popularly known as SAARC. SAARC. It is a major regional initiative by the South Asian state to evolve cooperation. With through this association, they are trying to cooperate and have the multilateral means. So, and we had already covered this topic in the chapter, in the previous chapter, where we saw new centers of power. In that, I had talked about SAARC. So that in that I had taught you this complete topic, so I'm not going to repeat it. And under this only we saw SAFTA, South Asian Free Trade Agreement, which is a part of this SAARC. So we had seen all this. So quickly revising the topics which we had covered today, we talked about the differences and areas of cooperation between India and Nepal. So Indian government expressed displeasure at the warm relationship between India and China. India do not like the good, strong, warm relations between these two countries, and India is unhappy with an inaction. Nepal government is not taking any action against the inactivities or anti-Indian elements or activities going on within the Nepal. For example, the Maoist movement in Nepal is very strong, growing very strong. With the influence of this growing Maoist movement, we can have a threat to the security of India, as Nepal is a bordering country or a neighboring country. And in India, we can also show the growth of Naxalite groups in the various states of India. If you see in Bihar in the north till Andhra Pradesh in the south, we can see that how strongly they are growing. So Nepal thinks, yeah. Nepal thinks that the Indian government interferes in its internal matters relating to river water or the hydroelectricity. So they also think that these are the differences where Nepal thinks that India is interfering all the time, and India is trying to dominate the domestic, political, and economic, cultural areas of Nepal somehow. And then we have areas of cooperation also. These are the important notes which I have taken out from your NCERT book only. Nepal and India enjoy a very strong and good relations as a parallel, which has no parallel in the world. No countries in the world have this type of relations which India and Nepal have. Because through a treaty which was signed by India and Nepal, where a citizen can travel in the other country without visas and passport, mostly for work. Cooperation and working together on trade. Now both are showing cooperation where they are working together to improve trade, scientific research, common natural resources, and generation of the electricity. So these are the areas of cooperation. And if we talk about Sri Lanka and the relationship between India and Sri Lanka, so talking of the differences, Indian leaders and citizens find it impossible to remain neutral. As I said, people are not able to remain neutral because the Tamils, which belong to India, which migrated to Sri Lanka, they are being killed and they are being suppressed and exploited by the people or the Sinhalas or the political groups, and many Tamils are killed. At that moment, Indian leaders and people are unable to stay neutral. Sri Lanka accused India of its interference in the internal matters. As meant, India had sent their peacekeeping forces, and there was a conflict between the LTTE group and Indian peacekeeping forces. Sri Lanka did not like this move of India and called that India is interfering in the internal matters of Sri Lanka. But than that, there is no other differences. Mostly, we'll find cooperation between Sri Lanka and India. India has signed a free trade agreement. India and Sri Lanka have signed a free trade agreement in which has further strengthened the relationship. So this is strengthening and giving a good shape to the relations between these two countries. India's help in post-tsunami reconstruction in Sri Lanka. After the destruction of tsunami, there was so much of we lost to the infrastructure in Sri Lanka, but India has given a supporting hand to Sri Lanka to again rebuild their construction work. And as I said, talking about India and Maldives relations, India has a warm and a cordial relationship with Maldives. India is supportive to Maldives. India is always trying to support Maldives in their economy, tourism, and fisheries, especially because that is a country which is promoting a lot of tourism. That is a tourist country, we can say. So India is trying to support them. But in November 1988, this area, which is as Maldives, was attacked by the Tamils or the Tamil missionaries from Sri Lanka. They attacked Maldives. So at that time, Indian Air Force and Navy had instantly acted on Maldives' request and reached Maldives to stop the invasion. So this invasion was stopped by the Indian Air Force and Navy on the request of Maldives, as they required help from India. taking a quick revision of the topic, although we have already covered this in chapter number 3, Peace and Cooperation. SAARC in South Asia, South Asian Association of Regional Cooperation, that is the full form of SAARC. In a regional, this is a regional initiative. It means these countries of South Asia, they have taken an initiative where they have formed this group and to evolve cooperation so that they can have cooperation in the various fields, and since 1985, so it was established in 1985 onwards. It consists of 7 members to encourage mutual harmony and understanding. Okay, this became to 8 as Afghanistan has joined SAARC in 2007. So now there are total we can say 8 members, and they encourage mutual harmony and understanding between the member countries. SAARC has initiated SAFTA. Now they have also initiated a alag organization, that is SAFTA, South Asian Free Trade Agreement, to free trade zones. So they have created free trade zones amongst the member countries of South Asia for whole South Asia collective economic security. SAFTA was signed. This was signed in 2004, although it came into implementation or it became functional in 2006, with an idea to promote peace and cooperation in South Asia with the help of the free trade. So with the help of the free trade, when the neighboring countries will have a good trade, they will have profit, they will have mutual profit, understanding. In that way, we can bring peace and cooperation to this region of South Asia through SAFTA, which is another organ of SAARC. SAARC has projected an economic development of its member states to reduce their dependencies. Basically, this SAARC as an association, its aim or the objective is where these members can stop depending on the outside powers or the superpowers. We have to be self-dependent. We have to make trade. We have to bring peace, decorum, and cooperation amongst this region. For that, each and every member has to cooperate and support each other. Till now, we could say that SAARC has not been so popular, so successful in its objectives and aims, and there has been some limitations which is stopping SAARC to achieve its aim. For example, due to political differences, there are so much of diversity in this region, and there are different political systems, and there are a lot of conflicts like India, Pakistan, we have read India, Bangladesh, Nepal, India, and amongst all the countries there are so many differences amongst themselves. The SAARC could not be a success. Till now it is not success. It does not mean it cannot be a success. If with the mutual understanding we can solve out and we can find the negotiations to these conflicts, definitely SAARC can be a very beneficial association for the growth of this South Asian nation. SAARC summit led to bilateral issues. Whenever there are SAARC summit, instead of discussing that how we should make a mutual understanding and cooperation on the matters of trade, but always there are raise of bilateral issues like Kashmir issue. So there will be always problems and discussions regarding the conflict of Kashmir between India and Pakistan. So these are the drawbacks or the limitations which is stopping the SAARC from getting to a successful point. Some of the Indian neighbors, or most of the Indian neighbors, I would say, as India is centrally located, they all fear that India intends to dominate this region by influencing their societies and polities. So they think that India is creating free trade zones or free marketing zones. It means India is trying to dominate their societies and their political system in the other countries. They always think that India is trying to dominate this region politically, socially, and economically. For example, on the basis of these examples, they suppose that in 1971 India, there was a problem between East Pakistan and West Pakistan, but East Pakistan was supported by India, and that is why there was a formation of a new independent country whose name was Bangladesh. So West Pakistan always thought that India is interfering in the matters of the other countries. In Sri Lanka in 1987, as we have seen, India had sent its Indian peacekeeping forces to Sri Lanka to find a solution. Although the intent of Indian government has been good, but still with the reflection which we are getting by these incidents is that India is trying to dominate this region. In Maldives in 1988, again the Sri Lankan people or the Sri Lankan Tamils had attacked on Maldives. They were invading Maldives, but Maldives asked for the help and the support, and the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force and the Indian Navy had stopped that invasion. So with these three also we can say, or the people have the reflection of India, that India is trying to dominate the societies and political system of the entire neighboring countries in this region of South Asia. So with this we come to the end of this chapter, and from the next lecture we'll start with the next fresh new chapter. Till then, thank you so much.